Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Sterling starting off with a Biden. Actually, that made me laugh. 40% of Americans who don't know Biden's mental capacity. They're probably not tuning into this live stream. Good morning, Patrick. Valuations of tech stocks may be reaching an extreme high again. Yep, that's a but again, can it keep going? Sure. Good morning, Sterling. Let's see. We got a lot of news from Sterling in here. Let me find some other stuff. Yeah, Nvidia is now the world's third most valuable company, not the third world's most valuable company. Oops. Oh boy, I guess it's a Monday. Monday. JetBlue terminates their agreement with Spirit. They're paying some fees back, but it only covers about 5 days of Spirit's burn right now. So Spirit's having some problems. Good morning, John. Hey, Kalani. Thank you for the super chat. Everybody give a big shout out to Kalani. You you probably want the update on the good old Bitcoin, and please support the channel. Thank you very much. Apple broke down on Friday and is continuing its breakdown today. Good morning, Heinrich. Hey, Chris. Hey, Christoph. Chris and Christoph, back to back. All right. We got another busy week. Not today. We got Harker speaking, and we got a 3 and 6 month bill auction. Unless there's a tail event, nothing really going on there. Tomorrow, though, starts it. We got ISM services. So keep an eye on this, especially employment and prices for the ISM services tomorrow. But I didn't mention the S&P services and composite, but those are the smaller to mid-sized companies. The ISM are the larger companies. Now, Wednesday, I already jumped into Friday. Wednesday, we got JPOW's. If you testify 2 times a year in front of Congress, is that semi-annual or biannual? Because I mix those up. Could somebody help me out there? But this is his one of the 2 times he testifies this year, and it's a 2-day testimony. So day one is Wednesday. Then you also have your EIA numbers and more Fed speak. Day 2 is Thursday, and we have jobless claims. And then Friday, first Friday. Pretty much first Friday, except for rare occasions. You can count on non-farm payrolls. So that closes out the week. Non-farm payrolls, and you got Williams speaking. So somewhat of a busy week there. So it's going to keep you on your toes, except for today. What else do we have? We have the chips keep marching. The semis keep marching higher. There's no stopping them. Everything else is pretty red. Lily and the Chips. Maybe that should be a band name. Lily and the Chips. So, because Lily just keeps marching higher too. This is turning into a complete gambling market. This is so much reminding me of the .com market. It's funny. But you keep going with it till it ends. Just know where your stops are. Technology and energy leading it higher. Com services pulling back. Fed watch tool get dovish again. 4 cuts priced in. So again, with the bounce, the decline in the yield, the little bounce in the 10-year futures, pricing in 4 cuts back to this. Again, markets in rah mode and extreme greed. Schiller PE, almost back to 35, 34.58. Nosebleed territory, but it can keep going. In terms of earnings, not much this morning. Really not much this afternoon either. That's going to be market moving. Tomorrow we got NIO. Target, would not ignore Target. We got CrowdStrike tomorrow. That's the big one. Then Campbell's on Wednesday morning from a consumer and inflation, passing it on to the inflation. Again, not much after Wednesday. Kroger, Thursday, Big Lots. But the big one Thursday is really going to be Costco and Broadcom, the big two. DocuSign to a minor extent for all the people still playing that, but Broadcom and Costco. And Friday, we're really winding down in earnings. So really, it's Tuesday morning and Thursday afternoon are the biggies for me. All right, who else do we have here? Let's see who else is tuning in. Good morning, Anissa. think we're getting close to a top. Just looking for you, that topping pattern. There just isn't a larger topping pattern yet. I mean, we might get some pullbacks, but remember, it's going to be a bigger pullback than that secondary reaction. So until then, you got to go with the cocoa trend. The cocoa train has left the station and keeps on chugging. Good morning, Royal Palms. Beautiful pre-spring day yesterday in Maryland, disrupted by a few gunshots in the distance. That sums up a lot of Maryland. That also sums up a lot of Chicago. What are your thoughts on Litecoin? I don't really have any thoughts on Litecoin right now. Hello, Mark. Hello, George. Don't try to short. We're going to 560 to 600 in the spiders. All right, let's get right down to the market analysis. So, by the way, the huge monthly potential double top is off the table. No monthly potential double top. Remember. So, extended also, getting extended. Again, we had I call this a sideways correction. And then the breakout, the big move up on Friday. Here's the key area I'm watching for any pullback today, about 51.25 to 51.23, maybe down to 51.15 on any pullback. Also, remember, daily cycles are trying to push up a little more to make a double top on the daily cycles if they're not pulling back that far. The weekly cycles are also very overbought, and well, the weekly RSI is very overbought and cycles at the top. So this would be a good place to know where your at least medium to longer term stops are. In the short term, even a pullback to the last breakout zone, 5100, it just reconnects it with the daily rotation zone. So would that do any major technical damage? No. But that's my bigger pullback level should, with JPOW speaking and non-farm payrolls, that's the bigger pullback level that I'd be watching for. On the shorter term basis, keep an eye going into the open at this rotation zone about 5130. That's where I'd watch right off the open, but I'll be watching for anywhere within this rotation zone on the 4 hour for at least a bounce if we pull back into that this morning. The NASDAQ, again, the weekly, very overbought, and we're getting down to a triple divergence here. Triple divergence on the NASDAQ. So keep an eye on that waning momentum, and there's less and less breadth on each push up. So far, sideways correction. We stopped at one of the key cluster areas. If we do break above 18, I didn't do the upper levels in the S&P. By the way, if we do rally up, 5150 and then 5165 roughly. Those are the two targets. Back to the NASDAQ, if we break above Friday's high, you're looking at about 18,440 is the next key level. Key pullback into the open is about 18,280. The major pullback level is roughly about 18,100 to 18,125. All right. There Chris is jumping on the cocoa train. Natural gas is almost to, it hit the second target on the double. What day does JPOW, Wednesday and Thursday, remember it's a 2-day testimony. 2-day testimony in front of Congress where they get to pontificate and pretend they actually know something. And it's more, instead of asking him questions, it's more them pontificating about what their thoughts are. Dow, which has not been able to, did not really eke out a lot of strength on Friday. Key support area for me is looking at 38,875 area. We start breaking below there. A key line in the sand is 38,719. Close below there. It could be a rotation still into more risk assets and out of the Dow. But what I'm expecting is the NASDAQ to start some kind of pullback and the Dow to then make another push higher. The Russell, Russell mode too. Now the Russell does have a potential double top. A potential. Never has to trigger. Just remember that. The next major levels in the Russell, if it keeps on going, 2154 And the minor level is reverse harmonics 2121 and 2145. Other than that, the Russell, if it does break out, would be 2121 would be my personal target area that I'd be watching if it takes out the high from the end of December. Other than that, the key support right now is really coming in roughly around 2070 to 2072. The VIX is back. I mean, we're still in the stair-stepping higher pattern. I'm really, again, watching to see if it can break back below roughly 13. Other than that, can't get in overly bearish mode unless it gets above 1375. The DAX, starting to watch for at least a pullback in the DAX. It's holding a 4-hour rotation zone, but if that breaks, I'll be watching more closer to about 17,650. Again, spiking up, running out of momentum on the DAX. Very overbought. Cycles at the top, and then 17.6 is the daily rotation zone. And we haven't even touched the daily rotation zone since the last liftoff, starting on February 21st. So, again, with the Fed speak, I forgot who was saying it on Friday. You know, everybody's talked about, well, they're going to sell MBSs and buy treasuries. So that's the way it was interpreted. So you had the, first of all, you had the gap up due to roll, and then you had the Fed speak, which was if they're going to buy treasuries, you know, the Operation Twist. But going to be watching still for another pullback here. There's just not a great top pattern. If this rotates back up, I'll be watching for a 4-hour double top. I'm keeping a closer eye on the yield. The yield pulling back to that breakout area. Still, nothing's been invalidated on the triggered double bottom. Never reached the first target yet. I'm still watching, especially with JPOW and non-farm payrolls. I think the market's getting very dovish on the 10-year yields. But we'll have to see. Now, I'll sit up and take notice if we start closing below about 14.16. 10-2s, not much to talk about here after hitting all the targets on the double, so we'll just skip that. Dollar index still holding in consolidation. Still no close above 103.20 yet. Or I'm watching 103.20 for the breakdown, 103.80 for the breakout. That's the two levels I'm watching for the next short-term direction. Crude getting to cycle topping areas, almost overbought. Remember, with Friday, we broke above this. Friday was the highest close since back and beginning of November 6th. However, we're getting to that very topping area, so I'm going to be watching for a topping pattern coming in. At least for a pullback. We're also getting to weekly cycle tops. Now, in order to do technical damage, you can see the 200's been pulled up and roughly in line with the channel. So even with crude pullback, it could stay in this channel. But that's what I'm keeping an eye on. Until then, it's still with the upward trend. Natty gas, which was brought up. Natty gas, we had the trigger back on the 27th. And the continued push higher, nearly to the $2. What does the high today? 1984. George Orwell. We hit George Orwell today. 2003. I just go on 2003. $2 would be the key target I'd use. If it continues to march above that, the next major area is about 21.12 to 21.15. But this would be an area to start more aggressively raising a stop. So, we hit the George Orwell. Gold closing above the key level on Friday, the 62.5, 2090.7. So I'm now minor target 2111, more significant target 2131. So that's where it sits. Silver still never invalidated the double pattern. Never invalidated. We went through that multiple times because I was watching. And now looking to get back up. It chipped away at the 200 and triggered the pattern. Chipped away again on that Friday, now breaking above it. So, again, next key target in there is about 24.15. What else do we have? What else? Biannual and semi-annual can both mean twice a year. Words are hard to say, as my daughter always says. Regardless, any testimony to Congress is too often. Anything with Congress is too often. Yeah, biannual can also mean every 2 years. That's why I'm confused. So I'm not just overly stupid, right? Hey, GDX triggered a daily double bottom. It's very much undervalued versus SPY and even GLD. Remind me, we'll take a look at GDX, but there was your gold and silver. Where do we sit? Where do we sit? Now I lost track. The yen, almost without it officially triggering, almost invalidating. I'm looking at this now just as a sideways correction. If it breaks about 150.80, gonna watch for a test of potentially the highs set back in November. Euro trading up against a very key level, but I still need a close above 108.60 for a breakout play in that. Here you go with the spiders. The spiders, we had the major cluster area of this 512.70 area and hit. And hit. So I don't think we have, see, the next minor level is about 514.27. We really need a pausing bar up here. We really need some pausing action. But that's the next level. Should it take out Friday's highs, 514.27? Any play looks like a slight gap down today, 511.75. So 512.85. Actually, 512.20 and then 512.85 would be my two targets I would utilize. On the pullback, we're looking at about 511.25 and then the major support level coming in at 510 to 510.10. And if it starts a bigger pullback, remember, we still have a gap left behind. You can see here a gap to Thursday's close. So do mind that if we get the bigger pullback. The other level I'd be watching for the bigger pullback is the 50% harmonic if we don't eke out new highs yet, which is 509.02. The Qs, we had 445.33. And we don't have another pausing. This is just getting nuts. It's getting nuts. So the key pullback areas here, 445.56 is, or 445.63, right around Friday's highs. So first target, little minor target area would be 446.58. Then we don't even have we'd have to go to the 1 hour and really technically use 1 hour harmonics, which is about all we can do, which would give me 448.04. So that's what I'd use intraday if we broke above today's high. Now, on any pullback, we're looking at 445 and then 443.50 to 442.96. The good old Bitcoin, 65.8, then 67.5. Above that is the highs set back in 21. Then if you're looking to break above those, this is a perfect area to use the reverse harmonics. Come on, there we go. Which would give 75.6, 75.7. So there are all your upside. Now this is getting very overextended. So the first key pullback area is roughly right around the 62.5 to about 61.250. That would be the first support area. Sound is suddenly weak. Is anybody else having sound issues? I'm just looking, nothing's changed on my end. Still, I'm looking over at my sound readings. Doesn't appear, so just let me know in the feedback if it's still me or if it's something else. Now, Tesla, not doing much. Still stalling out at the first target. The minor breakdown level is 198. The more significant breakdown level gets about 195. Thank you, Sterling, for clarifying. NVIDIA, this would be a potential double top, but it already looks like where it will gap to. It's off the table. Next target is 844, then 864 to 870 are the next targets higher. The key support is roughly 825. So again, we have things like NVIDIA, Tesla. Why am I having a, there we go, Netflix. Netflix, I'm actually still watching at 631, 632 area. We're at 620 with the gap up this morning. So Netflix still on a tear. And Meta breaking out again, still rising up. Next target there is 510. So it's really getting into like a very compressed market. Apple, which I know I was asked about earlier. Now, this is an official, it was still an up close. Still not been able to officially trigger this, but so any rallies, I know somebody put in a 4-hour %B buy. You're going against the rotation zone, especially on the 4-hour. So, you know what? I don't think you could get, personally, it could be, but for me, it would not be proper reward to risk. And you're gapping down this morning. I'd be more looking for a downward close and then a bigger pullback, but this is starting to mean Apple is breaking down also. I know we had GDX. Here is what Christoph was talking about, pretty much an exact double bottom. Triggered on Friday. So your target's 26, 28.50 roughly, and 28.80. So those are the targets. Above there, should it keep running, I'd be looking at about 29 to 29.30 would be the next target area. All right. All right, this is Meta is relatively cheap right now. Well, other people are saying stuff's overpriced, but it can still keep going. And yes, it can. That's why just start watching with Brett's breaking down. I don't think we missed. What else did I miss? You had Apple, VIX %B buy. Oh, you were talking about VIX. Let's do, because I haven't touched on uranium. Uranium did hit the first target of the double. So now the invalidation point for this would be back at a close above 30.44. But, you know, and I'm expecting uranium to possibly retest the 200 area before building a stronger base. I mean, it was a pretty decent breakdown. It's also on the weekly, but you can see we could get a bounce. There's lots of this upper 25 area that could be some pretty strong support, so I'll be watching in there. What else? Litecoin. I mean, here's your key levels. So much is getting juiced again with this stuff. Litecoin, it did close above the 62.5, so if it continues higher, 165, then 107.81. The key support coming back at about 86.30 to roughly 84.60. All right, that's where I think we have it. Let's look back at the S&P. Remember, very quiet day today. So I'm going to be watching the short term to see how it pulls back in the open. Nice little pullback here so far. So let's just see where the tick opens. For me to start really getting into some minor bullish, it has to at least get bounced back above about 51.37. 51.37 would be key with a tick stabilization. And a 51, if we do continue to pull back, I'm watching right around that 51.30 area for some support in the short term. All right. That's where we sit today. I hope everyone has a fantastic trading day and a wonderful trading week. Again, shout out to Kalani Hawaii for the super chat. Thank you again so much, Kalani, supporting the channel. And I shall talk to everyone later. Bye for now.